Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. Ladies and gentlemen, it is just the sign of the times. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of you send a lot of emails in with a lot of photographs, a lot of video. And please don't forget, I'm only one man. And it does take me a lot of time to get through these videos and the photographs and analyzing the photographs and making sure that I'm not missing something very, very important. The doctor physicist is now actually helping with viewing these photographs, and we're starting to make some very serious progress. I woke up this morning, I had over 7,000 emails from the past week and a half. And I try to get through about 250 of them per day throughout my schedule. But we have a gentleman, a very nice subscriber of the Nibiru channel and Planet X News. His name is Gary. I don't want to give his last name for privacy reasons, but Gary, if you're listening to this video, I want to personally thank you for all the time and all the effort that you have put in to sending in all of these photographs. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the few photographs that you're viewing right here on the screen, this is just a very, very small part of what Gary has been documenting for months on end. And we're going to take a look at a series of these photographs now. But what I'm going to be doing is we're going to continue to go through all of the documentation that Gary has sent in, and we're going to start showing it to everyone because I was viewing some of the photographs and they are very, very interesting. So I've not done anything to the photographs at all, but I will be, trying to adjust some contrast and things of that nature later on. But taking a look at some of these photographs, and I'm assuming these are coming from some of the European webcams, and they are fantastic. They're very well taken care of also, these webcams. But once again, you're seeing the sun, and you're seeing this object, a very, very large halo right here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the halo can be produced as a camera anomaly, camera artifact. But we've been seeing these spheres in the Alaska webcam photographs from the FAA and in the European webcams for the last several years. And people have been viewing these webcams for years on end, as long as they have been up on the internet. But it just seems over the past year and a half to 2 years, these photographs are now making their way into videos, Facebook, Twitter, websites, because they are very unusual. And zooming into this photograph, even though it is not crystal clear, I just don't see how this can be a lens flare. It is very, very well defined. Now, is it a fact that maybe something's trying to be, disguised by the powers that be? Is this what's producing some of this lens effect? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's hard to say. You can be the judge, but the photographs are amazing. We're going to go through these photographs one by one. This photograph was interesting also. It shows a partially obscured blue sphere, and it is partially behind this sphere. Not much, but enough where you can distinguish. So I don't know how a lens flare can be in front of or behind another lens flare. So I was thinking, are these possible reflections of these planetary objects. There may be a high possibility of that. But I found the pictures, well, let's just say, pretty intriguing. And once again, this large halo effect. Now, this could be caused by the interior housing of the camera. But these objects here are what, this is what is in question. Let's take a look at another photograph here. Now, once again, we're seeing this large pink spherical orb in the sky in many of these photographs. But how are we obtaining cloud cover over a lens flare? Is it possible? I'm not a photographic expert, but how would this be possible? Once again, are we seeing a reflection of some kind of large planetary bodies in our inner solar system, close enough that we can see them from Earth? Amazing. We'll move on to the next photograph. And once again, the same sphere appearing. There's a small one here that you can barely see. Once again, the halo, this may be caused by the camera. But once again, we're seeing this sphere. I was looking at the times and the dates on these photographs, and it seems that this object seems to appear at the same time, and it was in several different photographs on several different days. Now, once again, we see the blue sphere, and again, it is partially behind the larger sphere. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, my question is, how would that occur with a lens flare? That's the big question. Move on to the next photograph. Once again, this object, I've zoomed in and cropped this photograph, and I could see clearly defined edges. And I could see that this object is appearing to be a sphere, not a flat circle. It may be hard to see on your video screen, but I can see it very clearly, right over here. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to show you these photographs. You could make up your own mind on what you're seeing. I know the troll babies will start screaming and yelling and jumping up and down till they lose their breath and screaming, lens flare, that's a lens flare. But anyways, back to the photographs. Once again, this is another photograph taken at a different time. Partially obscured. Looks like it's kind of eclipsed. But you could see the blue sphere. And once again, the larger sphere is in front of it. Barely, at the edges. I could see just a little bit of striping right here. And it's very clear that these are not lens flares, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to fall for the screaming and yelling that these are lens flares. Later on in the photograph in time lapse, you can see the blue sphere comes out a little bit more. It moves away from the larger sphere, partially obscured by the sunlight. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a high possibility, very high possibility, that we are seeing other planetary objects in these photographs. Now, this photograph, once again, same thing. This looks like a very striped planet of some kind, object. It is behind the clouds. Behind the clouds. So, as far as being a lens flare, I don't think so. Something that is suspicious is it did cast somewhat of its own image right over here, almost like a ghost image that we see when people use that expensive Nikon P900 expensive camera that simply produces ghost images. That's what the problem with digital technology is. This object here, this light source, I found this to be rather suspect. I don't know exactly what it is, but it kind of looks a little mysterious over here. But this object clearly is defined. There's no doubt about it. It's striped, it's a spherical object, and it is behind that cloud. We'll move on to the next photograph. This was a little bit of a zoomed in. I had to crop it just to get a little bit more definition. You can see it is obscured by this cloud cover here, and this cloud also. But there is an object right here. Very clear. There is cloud cover over the bottom left-hand side of this object. This, again, this light source over here, it's really, really suspect what this actually is. Because I've never seen a lens flare look like that. And I've never seen anything like this in one of these webcam photographs. But I thought it was very interesting. I think all of you deserve the right to see all of these photographs. Now, this photograph was also sent in by Gary. The cover of the camera seems to be kind of a little dirty, but we have this object up here, and Gary has sent me numerous photographs of this object appearing in these webcams. Apparently this is some debris that has appeared on the lens housing that the camera sits in. But this object is the same object that Jeff P. has been catching on webcams over in Europe for quite some time, and he's publicized them as much as possible. But taking a look at it, is it a spider? No, I don't think so. Because the spider would actually be on the lens. And that is what the troll faction say. Oh, it's a spider on the lens. It's a spider. But in the other photographs that Gary has sent in, this is not a spider. Spiders do not move across the sky. They do not get bigger. They do not transform into other shapes. And this is very, very similar to what Jeff P. has been catching for quite a long time in the skies above Europe. Very, very suspect. Very suspect to, giving us more evidence of what is possibly in the sky. Now, this photograph, again, sent in by Gary, this anomaly appears in the sky. Very, very bright burnt orange. Is it a reflection? Well, what is it reflecting? There doesn't seem to be anything that would be reflecting a metallic object to reflect that into the sky or the photograph. Very intriguing. Very intriguing. But when you pan back and you look at it, you think to yourself, wow, how can that occur? How can that occur? So we have a lot of questions, but looking at these photographs, we have to consider all of these photographs evidence. And as researchers, investigators, this is what we do. We're going to look at photographs. We're going to look at video. We're going to examine it. And if we find something, we're going to let you know. Now, we've been seeing a lot of these types of, they almost look like a nuclear explosion mushroom cloud off in the distance. And I believe these are usually coming up either at sunset or sunrise. But this is happening all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. You know, and in all my years, I never remember ever seeing something like this. And again, you know, in my work history, I've traveled all over the world. I've been all through the Caribbean, places where there are absolutely breathtaking sunrises and sunsets. And I've never seen anything like this. Never. Is this possibly due to the chemtrailing that they're doing in the mornings and the late afternoons or whenever to try to, you know, cloud the sky, to disperse these carcinogens into our air that we breathe just to cover something up that's in the sky instead of just telling the truth? Once again, another photograph that I found pretty amazing. And this object over here comes into play. And I have actually captured a similar object, and it almost looks like the lens of possibly the sun simulator. Myself and Jeff P. have captured these objects in the skies on webcams over in Australia. And I've publicized them. They're in my videos. But when you look at some of these photographs and you look at spheres like this, I mean, they're not lens flares. They're very clearly defined, but the big question is, what are they? The same thing applies here. Now, this looks like a little bit of flaring right here, but how do we account for the large pink sphere? You know, so many questions that we need answered. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're doing. We're continuing with an investigation nonstop. Now, once again, this picture sent in by Gary. Once again, we're looking at this large, shadowy sphere right here. The sun is not even in play in this photograph, but yet this object is appearing in the sky. Let's get a better look at it here. I don't know about you guys, but that is very, very suspect. Again, I'm not a professional photographer, but, you know, I'm not stupid either. Looking at this, I mean, what do you think? If you were standing here in this beautiful village in the mountains, obviously a European country, standing here, looking up, if you can see that with your naked eye, pretty amazing. This photograph I thought was pretty intriguing. I have no idea what this would actually be. Cloud formation. I've been watching weather for more than 22 years. I've never seen anything like this before. But once again, very, very amazing photographs. I just wanted to share them with you, get your opinion, because we do have some very, very weird skies around the world. That much is a fact. I'll be sharing some of these photographs on the Planet X News Facebook page. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, if any of you are not subscribed or following the Planet X News Facebook page, there's a link in the description box. Go ahead, click on it, start following the page. It's a good way to communicate with myself and the doctor from this point on. You want to send in photographs and private messages, that's perfectly fine. But this photograph, once again, these small objects appear at a different position. I don't think they're water droplets on the lens. And then we have this. That looks like a solid object to me. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we have the question. Now, in this photograph, it's clearly probably defined as a camera housing artifact, the glare of the sun. But this object, yeah, I'm going to have to call that into question and say that looks like something solid, spherical, and to me, that looks like something that is there, not a lens flare. These two small objects here, once again, I'd have to call these into question and say, listen, this needs further investigation. We need to take a look at these photographs a little more intensely, try to bring out these objects using different photographic techniques that we have available. But this was the last photograph in a series that Gary has sent in. And Gary, once again, buddy, if you're listening, I thank you very much. Sorry it has taken me so long to get to the photographs, but Gary has sent in a treasure trove of photographic evidence that we need to take a look at, a much, much closer look at. And we will. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and post these pictures on the Planet X News Facebook page. Then you can, freely download them and look at them and share them. And maybe examine them yourself. And if you come up with something, you're a team member. So inbox it back to me. Let me know what technique you used and what you did to the photograph. And let's take a look at it. The more help I have, the better off we'll be. So I'm going to be sharing more of these photographs later on today and over the next couple of days, because Gary did send in a lot of them. And I'm going to leave the photographs just the way they are. They're not going to be modified or tampered with in any way. We're going to look at the raw photograph. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll download these on the Planet X News Facebook page. Feel free to copy the photograph, do some work on it, and see what you find out. This is Scott from Planet X News and the Nibiru channel. Thank you very much for watching.